this week, kind of a rougher week. A lot of books, but none of them really blew me away. This week I only have 3 books, actually. I did not pick up Batman the Knight. I think I'll probably pick that up eventually. I'll just wait until it's finished and just buy it all in a lot. But I did pick up the remaining 3 Batman books. First up, I got Robins, issue 4 of 6. This one has been kind of a dud so far for me. We'll see how issue 4 turns out. I also got Nightwing Issue 89. This is the first part in a 2-part crossover with Superman Son of Kal-El. Excited to dig into this one. I'm not reading Superman Son of Kal-El right now, but I do plan on picking that up in trade, so this will be hopefully a fun tease for that. And then finally, it's hard to believe we're actually over halfway done with the Arkham Tower storyline. But it's another week, which means another issue of Detective Comics. Fantastic cover on this one. I love this penguin cover. This book also is often a favorite of the channel, so I'm really excited to dig into these 3 books and let you guys know what happened this week in Batman. Alright, so I've had the chance to sit down, read all the Batman books I've picked up this week, and I'm really excited to report much better week than last week. I had a lot of fun reading all 3 of these titles, actually. So we'll kick things off with the biggest surprise of the week, which was Robins, issue 4 of 6. My biggest complaint with this book has been that it just feels like it's really meandering. The whole premise of this is that there is an original Robin from before Dick Grayson that has been cast aside, and she has now returned to get her revenge by basically taking it out on the rest of the Robins. Here she is actually right here. I do like the design of this character. We've hardly seen her, but now that we're getting a little further in, we're actually getting to see her character out and about, and I like the design of it. Up to this point, the majority of what we've been doing is fussing around with the Anarchy Gang, and I just haven't gotten much out of that storyline. But the nice thing about this issue is the Anarchy storyline and the Robin Revenge storyline have finally come together. We get a decent portion of this book with the Robins all just sitting around the table deducing what's been going on and putting the pieces together that I found to be very enjoyable. It wasn't too heavy-handed with like the hammy comments that have been really grating on this book since issue 1. It reads much more naturally than it has been up to this point, and overall it's just made this whole endeavor a lot more fun to read than it was for the first 3 issues. So I'm actually kind of glad I stuck this out. There's 2 more issues to go. We'll have to see how things wrap up. My one concern with this is they've introduced the idea of like implanted memories and holographically projected reality, and so I have a sneaking suspicion at the end of this the Robin who is getting her revenge is going to turn out to be someone who was never really a Robin and just believes she was based on this whole holographic implanted memory experience that she had at some point prior to this story arc beginning. I feel like that would be kind of a cop-out, but we'll just have to wait and find out in the next couple months. Hopefully it finishes on a strong note. Issue 4 for me, by far, strongest issue of this series, so that was exciting. Next up, we'll go with the ever-reliable Nightwing by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. I would say if I had a criticism of this book, for some reason, Bruno Redondo's artwork didn't stick out to me quite as much as it has in prior issues. I don't know why that is. It could be because they're trying to make it blend with the Son of Kal-El story that's going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. But it just didn't quite have the flair that some of his other issues have had. That said, it was certainly solid artwork. Not really complaining, it was just something I kind of noted. Now, this issue opens with a nice little prologue set during the Rebirth period, where Batman and Superman are looking for the young John Kent. Batman finds him in a cave, and the kid freaks out, and Nightwing's with him and immediately calls Batman out on, "You just scared the crap out of him, you're dressed like Batman," which was a nice little touch. And then when we flash forward, we get another great little character moment, which is with John talking to the computer projection of Clark Kent, very similar to how Jor-El would speak to Kal-El in the Superman movies, which I thought was really a interesting touch. I thought that was just really a cool little callback. Before we get into the main story, which is that some kind of metahuman who apparently can fly is going around the world executing other superheroes. The Sons of the World's Finest decide to team up and try to get to the bottom of whatever it is that's going on. I'm a little concerned that this is only going to be 2 issues. A large portion of this first issue really is just preliminary setup, introducing Nightwing, Superman, how they interact with each other. And so it's only going to leave 1 issue to actually investigate what is actually happening with these metahumans. So I guess that's something I'm a little concerned with going into the next issue. But of course, it certainly might be something that leads somewhere else in the Superman title or in the Nightwing title. It's just hard to say. But overall, obviously, both of these issues are going to be written by Tom Taylor. I will be picking up that Superman crossover, see what happens. All in all, this made for a very enjoyable read. And then I do want to call out my favorite panel of the week, which was in Nightwing this week. Dick Grayson is wearing Batman jammies, and Barbara Gordon is wearing a Teen Titans Go shirt, which was universe-breaking, and I can't believe DC would do something like that. Don't they appreciate continuity? So then that just leaves the heftiest book of the week, Batman Detective Comics, coming in at $4.99 and 40 pages. Kicking things off is the Arkham Tower storyline, in which the Penguin is now involved. He's been providing money for Dr. Ware. Dr. Ware is asking for more money, while at the same time trying to get to the bottom of who knows about the incident that happened in which Psycho Pirate lost control of the facility. He's still trying really hard to shore up his loose ends, and we certainly are continuing the downward spiral of this whole Arkham Tower scheme that this guy's cooked up. It's interesting because, obviously all the supporting Bat characters are very heavily featured in this. That's the whole point of this story arc. But Dr. Ware and Psycho Pirate kind of have come along and completely derailed that premise. They totally steal the show. I just think that as a pair of characters, they work well together. They're really interesting. And not that I'm rooting for them, but what happens to them is what I'm actually the most invested in this story. I'm curious to know if anyone else is having that feeling, because I'm really strongly feeling that way. I'm, of course, still digging all of our supporting Batman characters getting their due in this story arc. But Dr. Ware and Psycho Pirate really stealing the show. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything else about the Tower. If you haven't read it, go out, pick up the back issues and read it. It's definitely worth your time. I'm going to skip forward to the House of Gotham storyline, which takes place at an indeterminate period in the past. Way back at the beginning of the story, Batman had a run-in with the Joker, in which this boy here was collateral damage. He's gone from orphanage to Arkham Asylum to lackey of the Penguin, back to Arkham Asylum, and now in this issue, he has an encounter with none other than Bane. So I don't know if this is intended to be taking place during the Nightfall storyline. I'm not sure if there was another time that Bane is supposed to have broken everyone out of Arkham Asylum. But I think it's kind of interesting if this is taking place during that period. There are definitely significant players from that arc in this story. Not just Bane, but also we have an appearance from Zaz in here, who was featured heavily during Nightfall. At the end of this issue, Bane basically facilitates the boys' escape, and he has the chance to start things over. He ends the story walking the city of Gotham, looking for a way out of town so he can basically start new. This House of Gotham storyline has actually been really interesting to me because I think it's a great example of what you can do long form if you're writing a story that can only be 8 pages every single week or month. I think if you sat down and read House of Gotham in one big stretch, it would probably feel pretty disjointed. It feels very much like a gallery of villains in which one enters and exits in the first issue, another one enters and exits in the next issue, rinse, repeat. And the greater story arc of this boy is getting piecemealed out very, very slowly, which for me makes for great week-to-week episodic storytelling. Just not sure how this is going to collect in the long term, if it's something that people are going to gravitate back to in a trade format, or if it's really something that you're just going to be able to enjoy if you were living it in the moment week to week when this Detective Comics storyline was running. But that said, Detective Comics this week, once again, crushing it. I'll typically do, some kind of a recap where I'll pick out what was my favorite issue, what was my least favorite issue. I'm not going to pick one this week because all three of these books were a lot of fun to read. Even Robin's, which I'm genuinely surprised to say that because I haven't been liking this so far. Maybe check out Robin's this week if you're curious. And then obviously Nightwing and Detective Comics, always a solid choice for a pickup. And as usual, they do not disappoint. So I'm really excited to say that no matter what Batman book you picked up this week, it was probably worth your time and you probably had a good time reading it. So that about does it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed checking out what happened this week in Batman with me. And have a great week in comics. Thanks for watching.